Welcome back, everyone. Have you ever had to wait for anything? Waiting is hard, isn't it? Well, it's a very hot summer day here, and so I thought that an Otter Pop would be the perfect snack on a hot summer day. I put them in the freezer a little while ago. Let's see if they're ready. They've been in there about 30 minutes. Let's check and see, okay? Let's see if they're ready. Let me see. Oh my goodness. That's not ready at all. It's cold, but it's not frozen at all. I can't have that. I'm going to have to wait longer. I better put it back. Gotta wait. Okay, it's been about an hour. Let's check now. Surely it's ready. I've been waiting a long time. An hour's a long time to wait for a snack. Let's see if it's ready. Ooh, that's better. But there's no way. I mean, it's partially frozen, but there's no way I can eat that. It's just going to fall apart if I open it up. That won't work. Gotta put it back. Ho hum, ho hum. I better get my scissors so I can cut it open. Let's see here. Should have thought of that before I started this video. I got them. Got my scissors. So let's see. I've been waiting. Let's see, what time is it? You guys, it's been about 3 hours. Maybe it's ready. Let's check. It's ready. It's frozen solid. Oh, this is going to be so good. I can't wait to have some of this Otter Pop. I have been waiting so long. Oh, don't you love them? It was definitely worth it. But I have to say, 3 hours was a long time to wait. Waiting is really hard. Well, we're going to learn a lesson today from the Bible about a man and a wife who had to wait a very long time to have a baby. You know who I'm talking about, right? The husband's name was Abram, right? And the wife's name was, yes, Sarai. And their story of their life is found in the Bible in the book of Genesis. And today we're going to look at chapters 16 and 17. Okay? So you'll remember that God had promised them 3 things. He said, your family is going to be a great nation. And that family is going to have its own land. And from that family and that land, someone will come to bless the whole world. They had waited a long time, you guys. It had been more than 10 years since they had left and gone on the journey that God had called them to. But still, there was no baby. Look in chapter 16 of Genesis and verse 1. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne no children, but she had an Egyptian slave named Hagar. Well, because Sarai was getting so old, she thought, I'm never going to have a baby, but I have that slave, that servant named Hagar. You know, in ancient times, they did have a lot of servants. And whatever a servant owned, any property, then that was considered the property of the mistress or the master. Well, that gave Sarai an idea. So she went to her husband Abram and she said, I want you to take my servant Hagar to be another wife. What's going on? That definitely is not God's plan for marriage. In ancient times, people did that sometimes. They would have more than one wife. And sometimes they would have even one of their servants become their wife. But that's not God's plan for marriage, you guys. God's plan said one husband, one wife forever, not two wives. But Hagar was tired of waiting. She had wanted a baby. And she knew that was God's plan. So she thought, well, I'll just speed it along. I have a good plan. So she said that to Abram. You see, she figured that if Hagar got pregnant, then that baby would belong to her. In fact, that's what she told Abram. She said, if she has a baby, then it will be mine. So he did. Abram married Hagar, and she got pregnant. Do you think that solved the problem? Nope. In fact, I would say it just made it worse. Because when Sarai saw that Hagar was pregnant, she got jealous. And when Hagar realized that she was pregnant and Sarai wasn't, well, she thought, I'm a better wife than you. It didn't help anything. It made it worse. In fact, it got so bad, the way Sarai was treating Hagar, that finally Hagar just left. She just took off and left. She left Abram's tent dwellings with all of his servants and all of his sheep and all of the food and everything. She just left. And she went wandering out in the desert. Now, we live in Southern California. We know what that territory looks like. We know what that terrain looks like. Because you guys, Canaan land looks just like where we live. It's got lots of hills, and it's pretty dry, not a lot of trees, very sunny, very hot. So she took off. Maybe she took some food with her. Maybe she took a little bit of water. You know, she didn't have water bottles. But she probably took some water in something like this. This is an animal skin. And you put water in it, you can carry it. So that's probably what she did. But I'm sure that water ran out fast. And I'm sure that her food that she had taken ran out very fast. And you guys, she was on a road, the Bible says, but it's not the kind of road that we have. She wasn't driving a car. She was walking. And she didn't have good support tennis shoes. She just had some flimsy sandals. It was pretty bad. And there were no McDonald's to pull into and get more water and food. So Hagar goes traveling alone through the desert, hungry, tired, probably very afraid and very lonely. I mean, she had married Abram, but now she's not even there. She doesn't even have a husband. She's out there on her own. Well, she came up to a spring like this. And even here, we have springs that are out in the countryside. Well, she found one. And so she's by that spring, I'm sure desperate to get a drink of water, when she heard a voice. Let's see what happens. Look down in verse 7. So in your Bible of chapter 16 of Genesis, look down in verse 7. The angel of the Lord found Hagar near a spring in the desert. It was the spring that is beside the road to Shur. You know, she probably knew there was a spring there when she took off, because travelers would travel through there. And so she knew that there was water there probably. But I'm sure she was desperate by this time. Well, the angel said, Hagar, slave of Sarai, where are you going? And where have you come from? He knew her name, didn't he? He didn't ask her name. He knew. He said, Hagar, slave of Sarai, where are you going? Wow. She said, I'm running away from my mistress, Sarai. You know, she was out there all alone, very sad, I'm sure, very desperate, very lonely, very scared. But that angel said to her in verse 11, look in verse 11, you are now pregnant, and you will give birth to a son. You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard of your misery. He said, he assures her it's going to be okay. You're going to have this baby, and his name will be Ishmael. Notice, the Lord has heard of your mystery. Verse 13 says that Hagar was so thankful that God had sent this angel to find her. She realized that God was watching over her. And so it says that she called God by a Hebrew name that's El Roi, and it means the God who sees me. Wow. Even though she was in a very bad situation, God saw, he cared, he sent help, he took care of her. Well, Hagar did go back home. She did have the baby. She named him Ishmael, and Abram loved Ishmael. But Ishmael was not the son of promise. He was not the son that God had been foretelling. And so in chapter 17, look down in verse 5. God says, no longer will you be called Abram. Your name will be Abraham, for I have made you a father of many nations. He says, your name's going to be Abraham. And he had already told him, your son of promise is going to come from your body and from Sarai's body. Look at verse 15. God also said to Abraham, as for Sarai, your wife, you are no longer to call her Sarai. Her name will be Sarah. I will bless her and surely give you a son by her. I will bless her so that she will be the mother of many nations. You know, it is hard to wait, but God reassured them, I'm going to work out my plan. I'm going to call you Abraham because you are going to have many children. Many children will come from you. And I'm going to name your wife Sarah. She will have children. So even though she had tried to speed along the plan, she didn't need to do that, did she? Because God was taking care of it. And even when she did, and she mistreated Hagar, God took care of Hagar, and God took care of Ishmael. He also had many family members in his family. He was not a servant like Hagar. He grew up to be a free man and had many children of his own. So, you know, God does see when bad things are happening to us, and he does help us. Have you ever had someone help you when you were sad or frightened, or maybe you felt lonely? Who has helped you? I would love to hear about that. I've had help in many ways. You know, my mom died. She passed away. She was very old, and she had lived a very good life, but still I was very sad. But God gave me family and friends that helped me to feel better. And I want to show you somebody that really made me feel good too, and that was my dog. This is my dog, Uma. And she and I used to go on long, long walks, and that helped me to feel better. I had a friend, I had a companion, I had somebody that I could talk to, somebody that loved me and showed love to me. Here we are walking on the beach. Maybe you have a pet, a friend, a family member that has helped you when you've had a hard time, when you've been frightened or lonely. I'd love to hear about it. Another challenge I want to give you this week is that I would love for you to watch a video on YouTube. It's a video by this gentleman, and his name is Nick Vujicic. He travels all around the world talking to people, and here you can see that he was talking to children. There's a video on YouTube that's called No Arms, No Legs, No Worries. It's only 4 minutes long. Sit with your family and watch it. Now you might think, why should I watch that? He doesn't seem like he's got any worries. Well, he does, because he has no arms and no legs. He was born that way. But he's learned that God has a plan for him. God has a purpose for his life. And he uses his life to encourage other people. If you watch this little video, you'll see him talking to some school children and telling them that they don't need to worry. He doesn't talk very much about God in this particular video because he's at a school, but he often talks about God and how God helps us through the storms of life. Watch it with your family, and then I would love to hear what you think about it. Well, I don't know if we can wait to find out more things that the Bible has to teach us, but we don't have to wait many, many years like Abram and Sarai, or Abraham and Sarah. We just have to wait till next week. So I'll see you next week. You have a great week in the Lord.